The Great Debate Series. Best pass rusher ever.
All right, Mr. Perloff, the floor is yours. Go ahead.
So it's a bit tricky because we said best pass rusher, so that means 4-3 defensive ends, and of course outside linebackers, and the original outside linebacker, the man who invented the entire game, who changed football forever, is, to me, the number one pass rusher of all time, Lawrence Taylor, LT for short. 3 NFL Defensive Player of the Year awards, which is the most to ever, tied with J.J. Watt and Aaron Donald. And he won an MVP, and there's only been 2 defensive players to ever win MVP. He's the last one to do it. Alan Page of the Vikings was the other one. Not only that, he just redefined the game. No player, I think, on either side of the ball has ever had the impact on strategy that Lawrence Taylor did. Basically, there's a whole movie about it called The Blind Side. Lawrence Taylor was such a disruptive force that offenses had to completely change how they played the game to account for that. And then after Lawrence Taylor did that from his outside linebacker position, there was all these copycats, but nobody could do it like Lawrence Taylor because he was so fast, so big, so strong, and so aggressive. He was nasty on the field. I saw him almost murder Ron Jaworski and then follow him into the parking lot and say, I'm going to take out your family, too.
Boy.
I was just kidding about that. But he was he hit you so hard, your quarterback so hard, that he deflated the whole team. I think he other players did that too. Deacon Jones obviously was an unbelievable pass rusher. There were guys way before LT, but LT just was just so different than anything the NFL had seen before. And I think defenses are still trying to catch up with that now. So for me, that was an easy choice. Best pass rusher, Lawrence Taylor. Who do you got?
Well, I think most people think that it's Lawrence Taylor, but those people would be wrong. The best pass rusher of all time is Reggie White. Reggie White played in more games than LT, more sacks than LT, better stats than LT. Now, listen, Reggie White didn't drop back into coverage. Reggie White was hand in the dirt. Reggie White was in there amongst the biggest players and the big guys and still was dominant. He has the 2-time Defensive Player of the Year, same amount of All-Pros as Lawrence Taylor with 8. And Reggie Miller on the biggest stage.
Reggie White.
Excuse me, Reggie White. Reggie Miller never won anything.
Reggie Miller did, Reggie White told Spike Lee, take that, Spike.
The body type's not the same. Reggie White, 3 sacks in the Super Bowl that they won against New England when he was in Green Bay. Meanwhile, I know this is a little bit different, but LT, no sacks in either of the 2 Super Bowls that he did win. 12 double-digit sack seasons over the 15 years. For LT, it was 7 over 13 years, so it was just sustained. And, you know, if you don't believe me about why Reggie White was a better pass rusher than Lawrence Taylor, here is Barry Sanders, the greatest running back of all time, talking on the Rich Eisen.
I struggle to say between Lawrence Taylor and Reggie White. I'll just say Reggie White. You know, the way he dominated the defensive end position when he played. The week of practice, you would always see our coaches, our offensive coordinators taking out certain plays in the playbook, saying, no, we're not going to run this to Reggie's side, making all these adjustments in the game plan for him, and you still couldn't stop him.
There you go. And that's from Barry Sanders.
Yeah. I thought this was pass rusher, not run stopper.
Well, we're talking about, you know.
Well, okay. Well, if you're going to have Barry Sanders sound, can I have one of the most scintillating descriptions of a player I've ever heard? Mr. Electricity himself, Bill Belichick, talking about his former player, Lawrence Taylor.
When you think back to his rookie year, what do you think contributed to him assimilating so quickly to the NFL?
His dominance. I mean, the greatness of Lawrence Taylor. He's bigger, stronger, faster, more explosive. Even though he didn't really know what he was doing, instinctively as a football player, he's at the very top of the list.
All right, well.
That was riveting.
Yeah, Bill picked up the energy a little bit there at the end.
Really sold me on that.
Everyone tells me that Bill Belichick says all these incredible things about Lawrence Taylor, and I look at the quotes, they all kind of sound like that. But if Bill Belichick speak, that's a high compliment.
That's true. He talked about him for more than 1 second, so that means he's probably the greatest.
There's a darn movie called The Blind Side. Who do you think they're talking about? They're not talking about Reggie White. They're talking about Lawrence Taylor. The Blind Side, a whole movement, getting in an extra tight end. Why do you think left tackles get so much money?
I know.
Because of guys like Lawrence Taylor and Reggie White. I mean, Reggie White was obviously, as an Eagles fan, I got to give props to the Minister of Defense. But Lawrence Taylor was just more revolutionary in my mind than Reggie White.
Yeah, and I would say, while LT was more revolutionary because he did drop back in coverage, he does have interceptions too, stuff like that. It's just Reggie was the sustained dominance, Like, he was double-digit sacks every single year.
Yeah, but he was on that great line with the Eagles. He had Clyde Simmons and Jerome Brown.
And LT was on a great defense, too. Harry Carson and Carl Banks.
Yeah, those guys weren't bad.
Yeah, I mean, they all
Yeah, but I mean, like, who was coaching? Oh, yeah, that was Bill Belichick and Bill
Parcells.
So, yeah, but Reggie, part of the reason Reggie had all those sacks is because Buddy Ryan is like, listen, our only goal in life is to get sacks. We don't care if we win the game.
Rex has continued that, actually.
We're just going to run after the quarterback with all we got. He's like, I don't care if you over pursue the entire play by 50 yards. Just go after the quarterback.